Hello, my name is Christine Durfee. I am a PhD. Some of you may know me from various ways, one of which could be stories with Mima, um, Mima Warriors, neurotherapy systems. I'm online quite a bit for various reasons, trainings and such. And I'm making this video to help warn people about a psychological abduction, um, and a psychological, I don't know what you want to call it, captivating, I get abductions. I just went through on last Thursday. And I want to tell you my story so that I'm hoping that it will save somebody from this happening to them. So the beginning of this story is that I was subpoenaed for a case, which is not unusual, being a mental health therapist, and it was a federal case, and I believe it was federal. It was the state versus a person, and um, the court hearing was canceled for a reason. I got an email from the district attorney's office, and the court case was canceled. And so I was going about my day, 9 o'clock in the morning. I was going to be doing a book reading for my book, Tummy Heart Commotion When Dawson Meets Dude, at a preschool and kindergarten. And my friend, who is a teacher, she's a counselor there at the school, she told me, text me when you get to the parking lot, I'll come get you. And so I got to the parking lot and I texted her, hey, I'm here. And within minutes, right when I was done texting, I get a phone call from the sheriff's department, Sergeant Eric Villa, and who said that I had several warrants out for my arrest because I was failure to appear in court. He goes, you were supposed to be in court last Tuesday. Is that correct? And I said it was canceled. And he says, well, I don't know about that, ma'am, but when the judge called on you as a witness for this such and such case, which he knew all the information, that you were a failure to appear, and the judge ordered warrants out for your arrest for failure to appear in a contempt of court. So, and he was very aggressive, and he was being very bossy, telling me what to do. And so by the time my friend showed up at my car, I was already in hysteria. At first I wasn't, I'm like thinking, no, this is not right. There's a misunderstanding. But he was so controlling. And at that point, I was in hysteria. He was like, do not talk to anyone. We're putting a gag order on you. Do not talk to anybody. And this, my friend was coming up. I said, my friend is here. I need to tell her. And he was yelling at me to not talk to anybody. I yelled out the window, I can't, here's the book. Please go read it for me. I'll call you later. And and at that point they were saying, ma'am, just tell her you'll call, you're fine. You'll call her later. He was starting to tell me what to tell her. So as you probably well know, this was a scam, of course, but they completely had my brain. I couldn't think. I don't know if, what somebody thought, maybe also that there was some kind of a drug put on my door handle or something, because I would never, ever do the things that they made me do. But it was very much, throughout time, they were on the phone with me the entire day, telling me what to do, keeping me upset. I cried the entire day. I don't have makeup on because what's the point? I'm always crying. And so I was crying the entire day. It was a horrible experience. They had me going around and pulling funds from all of our accounts. I lost our family and my business. $75,000. And I couldn't even think straight. I couldn't think that this is a scam. I mean, everything was so real, and they knew all about the case that I was going to be in. And when I Googled their number they were calling me from, it was the sheriff's department. And anyways, this was going on. They kept me in a hotel that night, and they kept telling me that if I was they were gonna get my phone the next day, and if I called anybody, that the other person, that I'd be arrested, and so would the person who I was talking to. And I know that's ridiculous, but my mind, I couldn't even dial a phone number. I couldn't use my phone properly. I couldn't even. So I was so frozen that they would give me directions. The nice one would come on and give me directions, and this is all going to be okay, ma'am. We'll get this all straightened out, and give me directions. And then the mean guy would come back on again, and it was crazy. So meanwhile, my whole family was so worried about me because I was texting them things that the imposters were telling me to say to them. And my family was all very worried, and they were praying. And my husband and my daughter went to the police station. They said, this is not like her. And they're like, well, we can't really do anything about it. She's probably just taking all the money and she's going to leave you or whatever. And he's like, no, this is not. And she wouldn't do that to us, and she wouldn't do that to her business. And so I have a friend who rescues people from human trafficking, and she was there at the police station. This was late at night. It was 8:30, 9 o'clock, somewhere around there at night. And so I get this phone call from a private number, and that's who these imposters were always calling me on. It was a private number. And so I thought, because if the call ever dropped, they would immediately call me back, because they had to be on the phone with me the entire time. It was always the private number, except for when they called me from the sheriff's department and said for me to Google that it was them. And anyways, they it so my daughter had texted me, Mom, your grandson is in the ER, and please call me. And it was her way of trying to get me to call, but I was in a panic, and so I tried to call the imposters, the bad guys, and they hung up on me immediately, and then texted me, do not call. And I said that I was supposed to text them through this on that line, because that's how I was checking in every hour on the hour. And I begged them. I said, please, I want to call my daughter. I said, my son's in the ER, and I really need to call my daughter. And they said, well, they texted me back, find out the intensity of it, and we'll ask for permission. And so I texted my daughter and said, what's the intensity? Which I hated asking, like I was some cold person. And so that's when my friend's call came through as a private number, and I thought it was them calling me to give me that permission, and that's why I answered. And she said, Christine, and I knew immediately it's not them. And I was, already in a panic. It was all day long panic. And I said, who is this? And she said, it's me. And I'm like, who is this? Who is this? I kept asking over and over again, it's me, it's me. And then she also said some things to kind of make sure that I wasn't an AI voice. Um, but I later learned that when she got me on the phone, she rushed her phone over to the microphone of the police station because she was there with my husband, and they put it on record. And I it was saying, she said her name, who she was. I said, I can't talk to you. I can't talk to you. Something bad's going to happen. I can't talk to you. And and so I finally just said, she kept me on the phone, and I finally said, I've got to go. I've got to go. And then I just hung up. I said, just please understand, I've got to go. And I hung up. At that point, the police station said that I was under duress, and this is now considered a kidnapping. And so I was in the hotel room, and I dawned on me, I didn't have a cord to recharge my phone, and I was in a panic that that I wouldn't be in compliance, that something bad was going to happen if I didn't check in. It was incredible how much control these people had over me. And so I was heading down the elevator to see it. Oh, and they had me put on a do not disturb on my door and everything. I was heading down the elevator to see if maybe I had a cord that I could plug in my car. And right when the doors opened, there were 3 police officers right there. And when I saw them, I froze, and I thought, I don't know what I was thinking. I can't even think right now. I just froze. And they said, are you Christine Durfee? And I said, yes. And they said, can you tell me what's happening? And I said, no, I can't. And they said, why can't you? And I said, because I have a gag order because of this case. I'll be in trouble if I tell you. And they said, who will you be in trouble with? I said, you guys, the law enforcement. And they're saying, ma'am, what will happen if you talk to us? And I was so dumb. I said, I'll be arrested. And they were the police officers that were right there. Anyways, it was like them being there slowly took me out of a trance, I guess, and having somebody else talking that I was talking to took me out of this, and I immediately knew. I mean, it was just like everything fell into place. And I told them, I said, these people have all the information about this case that I'm a witness to, and everything, and that was very concerning. So the FBI are involved, and but I made it in the police station. They took me to the police station, and my husband and my daughter and my friend who helped with this and her husband were there, and I spent the night at her house because they were afraid that I had been being followed this entire time, to be making sure that I was in compliance. And they had my car at one location. I was in another location spending the night, and my husband was at home. And but my family all found out I was safe and alive, and it was a big relief. But I want to share with you that these people, I don't know how they're getting their information, but it's very real, and they know how to manipulate your brain. I as a mental health therapist, my area is with the brain. I know that these things can happen. I can't believe it happened to me. I know it's happened to other people, and it's going to happen again. And I'm really hoping that this video, that it will save somebody. I'm going to share with you, if there's a victim, if there becomes a victim, if you don't expect the victim to know enough or to be um, or to be able to think clearly, because that's the first thing they do is isolate and not allow you to think at all clearly. And so victims cannot. And so I really encourage my husband did see my GPS, but I was moving too quickly from one place to the other. And then they had instructed me to turn it off after I was done moving from one place to the other. And my husband was begging the police to go get me when it was determined where I was at. But at the time, it wasn't. They were thinking I was just doing my own thing under my own accord. And then my husband thought that maybe he could track me down, um, but I would move too quickly from one place to another. And I just encourage, if you've got a team, a family that somebody's ends up missing and money starts being drained, get people out there in the city and tracking. And if they're, all over around in the city, and if somebody says, okay, we've got our locations, it's at such and such address, then there's already somebody close by that can be there. I really feel that seeing somebody and talking to somebody other than these captors um, is what took me out of that mind trance. And I think that is the way to rescue people. But other than that, please, please, please note that if somebody calls you on the phone and says that they're law enforcement, do not believe them. Do not believe them, no matter how much information that they have that is real. Do not believe them, and just go to your police station immediately. I later found out that my brother-in-law, they did the same thing to him, and it was about a matter that he did take care of. And he was just on his way to, him and my sister were on their way to Australia. And the sheriff department called him and said he had a warrant out for his arrest. And but he knew that he had taken care of the matter. And because he was getting on the plane to Australia, he's like, well, I guess they'll arrest me when I get back. But he said it was so believable because they had all his information as well. And they, or once he was off the phone with them and thinking clearly, he realized that had to have been a scam. That had to have been a scam. But he even said when they were on the phone with me, I really believed it. And I was starting to panic, but what was I going to do? I was on the airplane to go to Australia. And so he just thought, well, I'll deal with this warrant when I get back. And so that was amazing for him to share with me this. Right. Actually, he just shared it with me today. But so please note, this is very real. It is happening out there. Please protect yourself. Protect the people that you love. I pray that this video is going to save somebody. Thank you.